The stars stretched endlessly across the void, sparkling like distant diamonds in a sea of black. Among them moved the largest fleet the galaxy had ever seen. Towering alien warships, sleek and glimmering with energy shields, cut through space with precision. They were the Vialori Armada, a species proud, ruthless, and confident in their superiority. Their commanders laughed as they monitored their scanners. Nothing in this sector could stop them. Nothing, that is, except a tiny human fleet that barely registered on their instruments. The human fleet was small, modest, and outmatched. The ships were old, some patched with scavenged parts from older colonies, and their weapons lacked the raw power of the Vialori. But humans had something the Vialori had never fully understood: creativity, unpredictability, and courage. Commander Elias Varn stood on the bridge of the HMS Resolute, a ship so small it looked like a mere shuttle next to the monstrous alien vessels. Yet Elias never doubted his crew. Around him, humans moved with calm efficiency, checking systems, preparing weapons, and running simulations of countless maneuvers. They were ready to do the impossible. Elias was a man in his mid-30s, with a sharp mind and steady hands. His dark hair fell into his eyes, which burned with determination. "All sensors online," said Lieutenant Mara, his communications officer. "The Vialori are mocking us again." Elias didn't smile. He had heard the jeers before. The Vialori's messages broadcast over the interstellar channels full of contempt. "Tiny humans, your efforts amuse us. Retreat now, and we may show mercy." Mara shook her head. "They don't understand. They think size is everything." "Size isn't everything," Elias said. "But timing, accuracy, and intelligence, that is everything." Around them, the human fleet formed a ragged line of ships, vastly outnumbered and underpowered. Yet there was something about their formation that spoke of hope and courage. The smallest vessels darted between larger ships, using stealth modules and electronic jammers to confuse the alien sensors. The human pilots knew how to exploit the alien arrogance. On the bridge of the Vialori flagship, Admiral Calith watched the humans on the main display. He was a towering figure, with blue-scaled skin and eyes that glowed with a faint inner light. "Pathetic," he said. "Look at them. Tiny specks. They cannot even dream of reaching our command ship." "Shall we destroy them now?" his lieutenant asked. Calith laughed, a deep, resonating sound. "Why rush? Let them scurry. Let them feel the fear of insignificance. It will amuse me greatly." Back on the Resolute, Elias reviewed the battle plan with his officers. The humans were aware that direct engagement would be suicide, yet Elias had a strategy. The human fleet would split into smaller units using asteroids and debris fields for cover. Their weapons were weaker but precise, designed to target weak points in the alien ship's shields. The smallest human warship, the Resolute itself, carried a secret weapon, a device never before used in combat, capable of a single, precise strike that could change everything. "Prepare the engines for evasive maneuvers," Elias ordered. "We'll draw them into the shadows. Their overconfidence will be their undoing." The crew moved quickly. Engineers checked power couplings, technicians ran diagnostics, and pilots prepared their vessels. Even the youngest crew members, barely trained, showed courage. Human resilience wasn't just in technology, it was in the heart and mind of every person aboard these ships. As the human fleet approached the asteroid belt near the system's edge, Vialori scouts spotted them. "They're trying to hide," Calith noted with amusement. "Pathetic. Send the interceptors, tear them apart." The human ships split into formations, weaving among the massive asteroids. The Vialori attackers were powerful, but unprepared for human ingenuity. The humans had planned this route, knowing the terrain better and using it to evade the alien fire. One ship would dart forward, drawing attention, while another would slip around the side, ready to strike. Elias's voice cut across the comms. "Remember, the Vailori are predictable. They think faster ships mean victory. Use their confidence against them. No ship gets left behind." As the first shots were fired, the human ships dodged with astonishing skill. The alien lasers struck asteroids instead of ships, exploding rock into clouds of debris. Every near miss strengthened the humans' confidence. For a species often underestimated, the thrill of outsmarting their enemy ignited something fierce and bright within them. Even amidst the chaos, Elias never lost focus. He checked the Resolute's systems, ensuring the secret weapon was ready. He glanced at his crew, seeing determination mirrored in their eyes. "Soon," he whispered. "Soon. They will see what humans are capable of." Meanwhile, the Valori laughed at every move. "They hide like rodents," Caleth said. "Soon they will have nowhere to run." But the humans weren't running. They were preparing. Using every resource at their disposal, they adapted, improvised, and calculated maneuvers that no algorithm could predict. Each movement was deliberate, designed to confuse, distract, and frustrate the enemy. As the sun of the system rose over the asteroids, casting long shadows, the humans prepared for the next phase of their plan. The Resolute, tiny and seemingly fragile, slipped silently between two massive rocks, approaching the alien command flagship. Elias knew this was the moment where timing and precision mattered more than firepower. "All units report status," he commanded. "Shield stable," one pilot replied. "Weapons ready." "Engines optimal," another said. Mara reported last, her voice steady but excited. "The device is online. One shot, one chance. Ready when you are, sir." Elias nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility. He knew the entire fleet relied on him, not just the Resolute. Humanity relied on him. Every human colony, every life, depended on what they were about to do. "Hold positions," Elias ordered. "Let them come closer. Let them feel the futility of their mockery." On the Vailori flagship, Caleth watched the humans inch forward. "They are slow, weak, and insignificant," he declared. "I tire of waiting. Destroy them!" The Vailori ships fired in unison. Beams of energy streaked across space, scorching asteroids and sending shockwaves through the void. The human fleet dodged with astonishing agility, weaving through the debris, their small size and quick thinking saving them from disaster after disaster. Elias kept calm, guiding his ship through the chaos. "Almost there," he said softly. "One step closer, one precise move, and everything changes." The human ships regrouped behind the cover of a massive asteroid. The alien fleet was confused, unable to predict their next move. Confidence wavered. Even Caleth sensed something unfamiliar, something beyond brute power. Elias looked at his crew, his voice firm. "The moment is near. Stay focused. Humanity has never surrendered. Humanity never will." The crew of the Resolute exchanged glances, hearts pounding with both fear and hope. They knew the odds, yet they also knew something else. Humans had a way of turning the impossible into reality. And as the asteroid shadows stretched long across space, Elias whispered again, more to himself than anyone else, "Let them mock us. They will learn soon enough." The tiny human fleet, underestimated and mocked, prepared for the action that would change the course of this battle, and perhaps the galaxy. The asteroid field stretched like a jagged ocean of stone and ice, each rock tumbling slowly through space, illuminated by the pale light of the distant star. The human fleet moved carefully among them, tiny specks of metal and determination, weaving a path that no alien ship could predict. Commander Elias Varn watched from the bridge of the HMS Resolute, his eyes sharp, his mind focused. Every second counted. Every movement mattered. "Scanners show Valori ships regrouping," said Lieutenant Mara, her fingers flying over the controls. "They are tightening their formation. They're trying to corner us." Elias leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "Good. Let them think they are in control. That is exactly what we want. Remember, Mara, we are the shadows in this field. We strike when they least expect it." The Valori fleet was a wave of overwhelming power. Ships of every size, armed with energy cannons that could obliterate entire asteroids, moved in a coordinated dance of destruction. But humans did not fight like the Valori. Their tactics relied not on strength, but intelligence, improvisation, and the courage to take risks that others would never consider. The first skirmish began with a blinding flash. A Valori interceptor had broken formation, attempting to strike at the smallest human ships. The humans dodged with astonishing agility, using the asteroids for cover. One small vessel darted through a narrow crevice, luring the alien craft into a trap. Another human pilot fired a short burst of energy at a nearby asteroid, causing it to break apart. Chunks of rock flew into the path of the interceptor, damaging its shields and forcing it to retreat. Elias smiled faintly. Just like we planned. The Valori commander, Admiral Calith, watched the displays with growing irritation. "They are clever," he admitted, though reluctantly. "But cleverness cannot save them from our might. Target the human ships. Crush them." The human fleet continued to weave through the asteroid field, each move deliberate and precise. Their small size and unpredictability gave them an advantage that no alien sensor could fully compensate for. Pilots communicated through quick signals, directing one another through complex maneuvers, avoiding beams of energy that could slice a ship in two. In the midst of the chaos, the HMS Resolute remained calm. Elias guided his tiny warship silently toward the heart of the Valori formation. The ship's engines whispered against the vacuum of space, carrying them closer to the alien command flagship, the center of the Armada's power. Every crew member aboard knew the significance of this move. One precise strike could decide the fate of the battle. "Distance to flagship, 300 kilometers," reported Mara. "Weapons are ready. We only have one shot, Commander." Elias nodded, his jaw set. "Steady. Wait for the perfect moment. Timing is everything." The alien fleet remained unaware of the tiny vessel moving like a ghost among the asteroids. Their overconfidence blinded them. Calith laughed, believing that size alone determined strength. "Destroy that tiny ship before it becomes a nuisance," he ordered. But the humans were no nuisance. They were a storm waiting to strike. Elias's crew executed every maneuver with precision, slipping through gaps in the formation, taking advantage of asteroid shadows to hide from sensors. The alien ships fired blindly, energy beams scorching empty space, missing their target every time. Elias glanced at his tactical map. He had studied the alien fleet for weeks, learning patterns in their formations, noting weaknesses in their shield generators, and memorizing the timing of their maneuvers. "Prepare for the next phase," he said quietly. "We are about to change everything." At that moment, a Valori cruiser detected movement near the asteroid field. It fired a warning shot, a beam of concentrated energy that shattered a nearby rock. The human ships responded instantly. Small bursts of counter-energy deflected the beam, and decoys emitted light signatures that made the aliens believe they had hit a larger ship. Confused, the cruiser slowed, giving the humans precious seconds. "Perfect," Elias said. "They are falling right into our plan." The Resolute slipped between two massive asteroids, closing in on the alien command ship. Elias could see it on the main display, a colossal vessel bristling with weapons, its shields glowing with raw energy. It was intimidating, massive, and deadly. Yet the human crew did not flinch. They had trained for this. They had prepared for impossible odds. "Weapons calibrated?" Elias asked. "Yes, Commander," Mara replied. One shot, perfectly aligned, just waiting for your signal. Elias nodded. He took a deep breath. The ship trembled slightly under the strain of its engines, but he ignored it. Focus was everything. Wait until the flagship turns slightly toward us, he instructed. That angle is our only chance. We cannot miss. Minutes stretched like hours as they maneuvered. Every human ship in the fleet played a part, drawing the Valori away from the core of the asteroid field, creating openings and confusing their sensors. Aliens fired blindly, growing increasingly frustrated as the humans continued to evade destruction. Calith's voice thundered over the communication channels. "How is this possible? They should be nothing. Target every human vessel." But targeting alone could not match human cunning. Pilots darted in unpredictable patterns, slipping between the shadows, moving faster than any algorithm could calculate. Humans relied on instinct and creativity, something the Valori could not anticipate. Finally, the moment arrived. The Resolute floated in the perfect position, just beyond the reach of most alien sensors, aligned with a critical section of the flagship's shields. Elias gave the command. Fire. A single, focused energy beam shot from the Resolute, streaking across space with impossible speed. It hit the flagship precisely at the calculated weak point, a junction in the shield matrix that no alien had protected. There was a pulse of light, a crackling energy wave, and the massive ship shuddered violently. "Impact confirmed," Mara said, her voice filled with awe. Elias didn't move. He knew the fight was not over yet. The Valori fleet would retaliate, and every human ship remained vulnerable. "Hold your positions," he ordered. "Brace for counterattack." The flagship trembled and then began to glow unnaturally. A series of cascading failures rippled through its systems. Shields failed, weapons overloaded, and the enormous ship began to collapse inward, not with a loud explosion, but with a blinding pulse of energy that sent shockwaves through space. The shockwaves struck nearby alien vessels, knocking out their shields and engines. Confusion spread like wildfire through the Valori fleet. They had never faced an enemy capable of striking so precisely and with such efficiency. The arrogance that had filled Calith's heart moments ago evaporated, replaced by panic. "Retreat! Retreat!" Calith commanded. But the damage had already been done. Smaller human ships, hidden in asteroid shadows, seized the opportunity, targeting damaged alien vessels, disabling them, and scattering the fleet. Elias allowed himself a small smile. "It's working," he said softly. "They're learning the cost of underestimating humans." Human crews cheered quietly, careful not to draw attention. They were victorious in their first strike, but the battle had only just begun. Still, morale surged. Humanity had proved its value not through brute strength, but through intelligence, precision, and courage. Calith watched in disbelief as his fleet faltered. How could one tiny ship cause this?" he murmured. His mind could not grasp it. Humans were a species defined by unpredictability and ingenuity, and the consequences were devastating. Elias guided the Resolute back into the fleet, keeping shields up and weapons ready. "Prepare for follow-up," he told his crew. "We will not let them regroup so easily. This is only the beginning." The asteroid field had become a battlefield of shadows, a testament to human ingenuity. While the Valori had vast numbers and superior firepower, the humans had outsmarted them, striking precisely when the moment was right. Every maneuver, every calculation, every risk had led to this point. As the alien fleet retreated, Elias addressed the fleet. "Today we have shown the galaxy what humans can do. One ship, one precise strike, and an entire armada falters. Remember this lesson, for it will define us in the battles to come." The human fleet regrouped, battered but unbroken. The Valori might return, stronger and angrier. But for now, humanity had won a decisive moment. One tiny ship, One brilliant strike, and the galaxy had begun to see humans differently. Elias gazed at the stars ahead, knowing the final phase was yet to come. The galaxy had underestimated them, but the humans were ready to rise, to fight, and to prove that courage and ingenuity could overcome even the greatest odds. And somewhere, beyond the retreating alien ships, a lesson had been etched into the void. Never mock a human warship, no matter how small. The void of space was silent after the pulse of energy that had struck the Valori flagship. The once mighty alien fleet drifted in disarray, systems failing, weapons offline, and morale shattered. Commander Elias Varn stood on the bridge of the HMS Resolute, his eyes scanning the aftermath. He felt no triumph in the immediate moment, only the careful, steady awareness that the battle was not yet over. "Status report," he ordered. Lieutenant Mara's voice crackled over the comm system. "The flagship is destroyed, Commander. Most of the surrounding ships are disabled or retreating. Casualties on our side are minimal. The fleet is intact, ready to regroup." Elias nodded. "Good. Maintain formation. Do not pursue recklessly. The Valori may attempt a trap." Despite the warning, he allowed himself a small smile. Humanity had achieved the impossible. A single, precise strike from a tiny ship had toppled a colossal enemy. The galaxy had just witnessed what humans were truly capable of. The surviving Valori ships were in disarray, retreating toward the edges of the system. Their flagship was gone, and their forces scattered. Commander Calith, the once proud admiral, hovered on the bridge of his remaining ship, his scales bristling with frustration. This cannot be one ship. How? His officers could not answer. The human fleet had achieved what no alien armada had ever done. They had turned disadvantage into victory through intelligence, courage, and precision. Calith realized with disbelief that the humans' size was irrelevant. Their ingenuity was unmatched. Elias turned to his crew. "Today we've shown the galaxy that size and strength alone do not guarantee victory. Let this lesson spread. Humans fight with heart, mind, and courage, and that is why we endure." Across the fleet, ships acknowledged the order. Pilots, engineers, and officers exchanged glances filled with pride. For so long, humanity had been underestimated. Now they had earned respect, if not yet from their enemies, then from themselves. The humans began to move systematically through the battlefield. Smaller Valori vessels that were still operational were quickly neutralized, either through tactical strikes or careful avoidance. Elias understood that mercy was not weakness. It was another form of strategy. Damaged alien ships were left to retreat, sending a message that humanity was not cruel, but clever. The Resolute led the fleet toward a cluster of asteroids where the Valori remnants had attempted to regroup. Sensors indicated several energy pulses emanating from damaged vessels, likely automated defensive systems or traps. "Steady," Elias instructed. "We cannot afford unnecessary losses. Use the shadows. Let them reveal their mistakes, then exploit them." The human ships moved like phantoms, slipping between asteroids, using debris to mask their movements. Even the smallest vessels contributed, darting in and out, confusing the alien sensors. Every maneuver was deliberate, calculated, and deadly. Meanwhile, Calith struggled to maintain control. His communication channels were flooded with reports of failures, retreats, and defections among his ranks. "They cannot be stopped," one officer admitted. "Their tactics are unpredictable." Calith clenched his fists. "They are humans," he hissed. "Tiny, weak, and yet unstoppable in ways we cannot understand." Back on the Resolute, Elias prepared for the final phase of their engagement. The secret weapon had been used once, but the after effects of its strike continued to disable alien systems. Human crews had learned the Valori patterns, the gaps in their formations, and the timing of their weapons. Every detail counted. "Prepare all ships for synchronized maneuvers," Elias ordered. "We will show them that humanity fights not just with firepower, but with unity and strategy." The fleet moved as one, a coordinated wave of precise action. Smaller human ships flanked the remaining alien forces, forcing them into positions where their weapons could not be effective. The humans exploited every weakness, turning every disadvantage into an advantage. "Commander," Mara said, "enemy power surges indicate they're attempting a final strike on us. They're desperate." "Good," Elias replied. "Desperation makes them predictable. Use it against them. Stay calm. Stay precise." The Valori ships fired blindly, energy beams streaking across the asteroid field. Most shots missed, some were deflected, and a few struck harmlessly against asteroids. Human ships responded with rapid, small strikes that disabled systems without causing unnecessary destruction. It was battlefield intelligence at its finest. In the heart of the engagement, the Resolute maneuvered once more, now serving as the beacon for the fleet. Elias glanced at the display, calculating the distances and angles of every alien vessel. "One final push," he murmured. "One precise move, and the rest will follow." The humans launched a series of targeted strikes, small bursts of energy aimed at critical points in the remaining ship's shields and engines. Each strike was precise, calculated, and synchronized. Alien vessels faltered, shields collapsed, and engines failed. Confusion turned to panic. "Retreat! Regroup!" Calith screamed. But the order came too late. The humans had seized the moment. Their precision and courage had shattered the alien formations completely. Elias allowed himself to breathe deeply. The battle was over. Humanity had won. Not through numbers, not through brute force, but through intelligence, bravery, and ingenuity. The surviving Valori ships fled the system, carrying the lesson that would echo across the stars. Never underestimate humans. Elias looked at his crew. "Today, we have shown what it means to be human. We are not the strongest species, but we are clever, courageous, and unyielding. Remember this victory. It belongs to all of humanity." Cheering erupted across the fleet, subdued but proud. Pilots tapped consoles, engineers high-fived, and every officer felt the weight of achievement. Humanity had survived against impossible odds, and in doing so, had proved its worth to the galaxy. Even in the quiet moments afterward, Elias knew the war was far from over. The Valori would regroup, other alien civilizations might come to challenge them, and new threats would rise. But for now, humanity had made a statement. A tiny ship, a single shot, and a fleet of determined humans had altered the course of history. The Resolute glided silently among the remaining ships, its small frame a symbol of human resilience. Crew members looked out of their viewports at the glittering debris of the battlefield, feeling pride and awe. They had done what no one expected. They had proven the HFY truth. Humans could overcome any obstacle with courage, intelligence, and heart. Elias stood on the bridge one last time, gazing at the stars ahead. "Let them mock us next time if they dare," he whispered. "We will always find a way. Humanity always does." And so, the tiny human warship that had been laughed at and underestimated drifted among the stars, carrying a message across the galaxy. Never underestimate the ingenuity, courage, and spirit of humans. One shot can change everything. Humanity had won the battle. Humanity had won the respect of the stars. And the galaxy would never be the same again.